All right, we're back with another episode of the Infatuasian podcast. Thank you so much for tuning back in. This is part 2 of our top 5 Chinese food dishes. I hope you listened to part 1. That was dropped last week. It took me a little longer to get this out than I planned, but hopefully this will start your week off with a bang. So we are going to pick up where we left off. We are picking 5 Chinese dishes that we enjoy. They're not necessarily the best dishes in the world, but these are the dishes that we enjoy the most, and I'm joined by my guests again. We have Lingjie, one of the co-hosts from the Worst Asian podcast. We have Lieu from Subtle Asian Baking, and we have Bill and Kaitlin Liang from The Walks of Life. And so we had a good time doing this episode a couple weeks back, but I hope you enjoy this. Happy mid-December, everyone. Hope that you're doing great, and we really hope that you enjoyed this episode. And as always, thank you for listening. Okay, so let's get to the next round. Now, whoever wants to pick first can pick first. Well, let me spin the wheel here. Let's spin the wheel. There's only 2 of us left on the wheel. All right, so the next round is started by... All right, Lieu. That's good. Last time I did this, I got the first pick, and everyone yelled at me and said it was rigged. So I'm glad you got it, Kat. So, okay, so we're going to go... This round will be Kat, Lingjie, me, and then Kaitlin. All right, what level do you want to do, Kat?
What's left? B, C, and D?
B, C, D? So...
I guess we'll just go down with B.
Just keep going down? Okay.
Yeah, just any noodle dish.
Okay,
Chow mai. Singapore chow mai fan.
That's your
Not really
go-to.
Singaporean, but it has the Southeast Asian flavors. A little bit spicy, not that spicy, but again, something that's very comforting. And almost every Chinese restaurant can make one. A little bit different, but most of them are always like that yellow tinge color with the curry powder.
Yeah.
Always has some ham and shrimp. I don't know if that's chicken. No, maybe some pork. Mash of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually also very easy to make. So one of my favorite dishes. So solid for B class.
Yeah, I think so.
B tier.
Should we just throw in a bunch of different noodles here too? I think we kind of lump them in a little bit. Unless you have a really special noodle, but I think we'll throw in the chow mein and the chow fun too. Gotta go with noodles, right? Are you guys noodle or rice people? What are you?
I'm definitely a rice person. However, noodles are pantheon. So
yeah.
I'm gonna say noodle soup.
Okay.
Would be a distinction / extension of this this entry, because a noodle soup is so quintessentially Chinese, and all of the, not all, but a lot of the complexity is in the broth, and it's so tough to, it can be tough to recreate an excellent broth. And there's so many places like in China, Chinese places in America that, do it every single day, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Just making like the best bone broths and like meat broths and stuff. And like if you add in like a hand-pulled noodle on top of it, forget it.
Yeah.
So good.
Forget about it. Yeah. I mean, rice is a great accompaniment, but as a meal by itself, noodles can be a whole meal. Right. By itself. I love the chow fun with the gravy. Now I know Bill makes a good beef chow fun with gravy. So one of these days,
I
love it. I love that one.
That's controversial, Curtis, because the dry versus wet debate. My sister is a diehard for dry.
Really?
And I have to say, so am I. I actually made the mistake once. We were ordering takeout during lockdown for the car, and I accidentally fumbled the football and ordered the wet, and she made me go back and order the dry, and I was like, oh yeah, this is worth it.
The walk of shame. Oh man, yeah. No, I like both, but for some reason I'm kind of more gravy in the last year or two. It's been more my go-to. But Lingjie, favorite noodle?
Similar flavors as 水煮鱼 担担面. So it's that same thing. It's got the spices. It's got scallions, minced pork. Sometimes it has a little bit of sesame paste and or peanut butter paste. And it's using those wheat noodles. That's like my favorite go-to noodle if I have to. I'm generally not a rice or noodle kind of guy. But if I have to, I'll have that. I need it to have like a lot of strong flavors.
You're generally not a rice or noodle kind of guy.
He's a low carber.
You should be expelled based on this alone. What are you doing here?
It's not that he doesn't like it, he just chooses.
I'm the weird person that when I cook traditional Chinese food for my family, the only person at the table that eats rice is my son. So he has his bowl of white rice and eats everything. Me and my wife have just grown over the years of being together that we don't eat rice with our food anymore. So it gives me more space to have more of the dishes, if that's a plus.
I guess. Oh my God, shock.
That's a trendy thing in China too. All the young cookies are low carb. No,
low carb.
Who wants rice?
Nobody.
Like crickets.
Really?
No, yeah, it's a dark turn of events, frankly. I don't know that I approve. I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Well, maybe it's a sign of wealth a little bit. You know, you can flex on people, say, hey, we don't want to fill up on rice.
I think there is something to that. Yes.
Yeah, that's why my dad, who came from a poverty background, used to just chug down like 3 bowls of rice before he had like 2 pieces of anything from the table, because it's that mindset. You got to fill up on what you can from the cheapest thing.
Yeah.
Asian food in general is so like flavorful that we just have to have rice. I don't really eat rice, but my family, like my boys, oh my God, they love rice. Like
love it. Yeah.
Filipino food too has very flavorful sisig, and then like your chow whatever.
Yeah.
You just have to pair it with rice, and that's just us.
Rice is life. Yeah.
That's right. It's kind of like if you're having a warm cookie at night and you're looking for the milk, the kids are looking for it. Hey, you gotta have the rice with the, especially that's me.
Especially you got the gravy, you gotta have the rice. Yeah,
that's right.
All right, let's see. Next up is Lingjie in the B tier.
Cha shao or roast pork cha siu. It's a Cantonese style roast pork with a lightly sweet glaze on it. People just know it when it's that red pork meat.
Yeah.
I think it's up there because it's so versatile. Sometimes you can have it just over rice or have a sambal fan with other roast meats with it. Or what I like to do is sometimes I'll just buy it and I'll freeze it up in the fridge. So when I make fried rice later, I'll take it out, I'll chop it up into pieces. Or roast pork stir fried with eggs. You know, like it's just like versatile protein just to have in the fridge whenever you need it.
It's the sweet and salty, fatty. Yeah, it's got everything. Bill, what kind of meat are we getting for our cha siu?
Super nice. You usually get a fatty marbled pork shoulder, like a pork butt, or cut here in the U.S. That I think is really good is actually country ribs.
Country ribs, yeah.
Boneless country ribs. So they're nice and marbled, and they're actually cut in the shape of the cha siu already. So makes it easy. But I'll tell you, they're for all these coastal people, which is everybody here basically, right? It's like, we just go buy it. It's great. And you kind of take it for granted. But all those who don't have a good, place where they can get cha siu, the kind hanging in the front that we all take for granted, I think, they make it themselves. So one of our most popular recipes on the blog is the cha siu recipe.
All right.
And you're right, Lingjie, it's so versatile. Freeze it, and you keep it and you can stir fry with it. You can make fried rice with it, but most of the time it doesn't last. You don't have anything left.
Exactly. There's nothing left to save for later.
Yeah.
So you have to buy 2 plates full. One to actually eat that night and one just to throw directly into the freezer.
Right.
So you don't even...
Yeah. Buy half pound more than you think you need.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, yeah. And I was going to say, throw it in some ramen too. There's nothing wrong with cha siu in your ramen too. All right. That leads us to me. All right. So I'm on the B tier. All right. This is going to be... Now, we should say that some of us here are several generations here in America. So, I'm fourth or fifth generation here in America. And so my grandfather actually was born, my mom's dad was born overseas, and he used to let me order when we got to the restaurant. And whenever I would order this, he would kind of give me the disappointed look. He wasn't mad, but he was disappointed. And it's sweet and sour pork,
Hey.
one of my favorite dishes in the whole world. But he'd say, order whatever you want. And I would say, I want the sweet and sour pork. And he would look at me like, oh, it's lost. This generation is lost. But I love it. It's so good. It's crunchy. It's sweet. It's sour. It's salty. It's just got that tang to it. You got to have it with some rice, Lingjie. You got to put a little rice on there. But so good. It's just, I to this day, I still do it. If I'm going to a restaurant, I'll get the sweet and sour pork. I don't know what it is. It's so good.
Classic.
Bill, I'm guessing you have a recipe for this, Bill.
Yes, we do. It's a classic dish, but I feel like a lot of people like now the Peking style dish. It's like the Peking pork chops. It's just like a sweet and sour, but they put a little bit of soy in it. It's a little bit more on the savory side, but still it's very good. But sweet and sour, right on, Curtis. I like it.
Yeah, right. Oh man, yeah. Hardcore Chinese people might say that's not really Chinese food, but like we said, it's been here for 170 years. It's pretty much American. It's part of the American pantheon of cooking now. It's one of the dishes that everyone thinks of when they think of Chinese food. So delicious. All right, next up in the B tier, bring us home, Kaitlin.
So, well, you got me thinking now with the sweet and sour pork stuff. Okay. Actually, I am going to make a plea for the humble bowl of white rice.
Okay.
Just the white rice.
In your face, Lingjie.
Honestly, as soon as I thought about it, I was disappointed that I didn't put it up for the S tier because that is the canvas. That is the flavor amplifier. It makes everything better. It just does.
Yeah,
it's the eternal accompaniment. It's always there. And funnily enough, the best rice doesn't come from China. It comes from Thailand. Thai jasmine rice is usually what you want to get at the store.
So good. So fluffy.
Yeah, just fragrant and delicious. And, a bite of white rice just hits those little dopamine receptors in your brain different,
Yeah. Because in our caveman days, it meant survival.
That's right.
If you got a bite of rice, you were like, oh, we can live another day.
That's right. That's right. I mean, there's we actually were talking once with the Xi'an Famous Foods, the owners, the dad. His name is escaping me. He's a very sweet man, and he was saying that in their family, like for Cantonese folks like us, if you don't have white rice, like you're not satisfied. And then for him, he was like, oh, see, if we don't have noodles, then we're not satisfied. So it does vary region to region. And obviously there's, anomalies like Lingjie, but, I just think it's quintessential. And it's the best. I'm not living that low carb life. I'm leaning into rice.
Not me either. Well, my grandma had a saying too that if someone came over that wasn't expected, like someone came over to dinner that wasn't expected, she would say something like 2 more bites of rice for everyone, or something like that. It's kind of like a way of saying, hey, everyone has a couple more bites of rice and there'll be enough food for everyone. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
And as a life scientist, without rice, this world would be in bad shape, in terms of the population.
For
like
sure.
Millions, billions of people depend on the calories that come from rice just to get through the day. And so, you gotta put it on the list somewhere. I would almost say we got to put it above the Mount Rushmore.
I know. It's like the god of all things.
Yeah. Well, when we did the Korean one, kimchi was kind of that for us when we did the Korean food list.
That makes sense.
It's not really its own thing. I mean, it's not really a dish. It's every dish.
Yes.
But no, I have no problem with you picking rice. That was awesome.
I have a dad joke.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what can you eat a few thousand of and never get full, or it won't get full of?
Rice?
Is it rice?
Green
Yeah. So we're like,
Yeah. So that's it for the beats here. Let's go. Let's see. This is my turn to pick first now. So I'm going to go. Wow, I just realized you guys picked a lot of the ones on my list. Am I running out? Okay, so we'll just keep going down. I'm going to go with the C tier. Now, this one, Bill, you're going to have to help me on this one, or Kaitlin, too. You're going to help me if this is a Chinese dish or a Chinese-American dish. I'm going with honey walnut prawns, which is one of my favorite things to order. It's so good. Like, the mayonnaise makes me think it's not Chinese, right? Like, that's more of an American thing. Bill, what do you think?
So, it depends if you have it at Panda Express or if you have it at your local Chinese place.
That's true. That's true.
That's right.
Can you find it in China? They have this dish in China?
I haven't had it in China, actually.
Yeah.
The honey walnut shrimp, but that
Hong
dish.
Kong, yeah.
Yeah, and even in Hong Kong, I don't think so. You know what? Why? I think also because there's so many other choices that you've never had before that you want to have something different. But the honey walnut dish is clearly a banquet dish, right?
Yeah,
and it's always there. And for me, that crunch of the shrimp and that little bit of you can the mayonnaise is globbed on there, but you can always scrape a little bit off it, and not take all of it. And those walnuts are just killer. Oh,
the
God.
Candied walnuts. Yeah. It's a cornstarch dredge. It's not really, it's like a really thin batter on the shrimp. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's a really simple recipe. We have it on the blog. And the hardest part is actually making the candied walnuts.
Okay. Yeah. It's easy to burn those things.
Yeah. But if you're not averse to using the deep fryer, the best way to do it is to deep fry the walnuts and then candy.
Yeah. When in doubt, deep fry, right?
That's easy.
Okay. So honey walnut prawns in this round. This is round C, tier C. So next up is Kaitlin. Back to you.
Okay, I think I'm gonna say honestly probably one of the best street food items I ever had is the jianbing. So freaking good. And it might not be familiar. So if you're listening and you're not Chinese or you've never visited China, you might not know what it is. Basically, it's like this, it's made on this giant rotating hot griddle, like a round griddle. And then they make this like sticky dough that's like made with some combination of like grains like millet and all different kinds of grains. Sometimes it's just millet, but there's like wheat flour, whatever. And it's not a crepe. It's like a sticky dough that they drag across this hot griddle. And then it makes this thin pancake that's like crispy. And then they crack an egg over it. And then they sprinkle like scallions and cilantro and like maybe some like hoisin sauce or like sweet bean sauce. And then the grumpy, unsmiling lady is like, "You want it spicy?" And then you say, "Yes, I want it spicy." And then she drizzles the chili oil over it. And then you can put different stuff in the middle. So my go-to is a piece of youtiao in the middle because I like the chewy carb on the crispy carb on carb.
Carb on carb.
Or you could do like a crispy wonton skin, like fried wonton wrapper, which is not my bag, but I respect it. And then if you're really hard, and then sometimes they'll put like a few pieces of romaine lettuce because, healthy.
Yeah, right.
Hello. And then if you're really hardcore, you can put a hot dog on it.
Okay.
So that is
endless possibilities.
Yeah, that is a really delicious thing. They cut it in half. They put it in a little thin plastic bag, and then you go on your merry way. And you can eat it while you're walking, and it's just the most delicious thing. And it's one of those things that's nearly impossible to recreate at home because we've tried. I've made the sticky dough, and I tried to do the whole thing, and we got a special pan and all this nonsense. But the good workaround for home chefs is actually using a tortilla. A Mexican-style tortilla. So I'm sorry, not a Mexican style tortilla, a flour tortilla.
Okay.
A large flour tortilla that you'd use for like a burrito. So not necessarily like a corn tortilla wouldn't work. But yeah, it kind of gets a similar crispness to it. And it's obviously much easier so that you can focus your enjoyment on the finished product. And that recipe is on our blog. And I was very proud of it when I came up with it because I was like, wow, this is the best approximation that I've had.
Close enough to be satisfying. Yeah.
Right. And I think in Flushing, there might be 1 or 2 spots to get. I'm not 100% sure,
There's places to get it in Flushing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple places. There's one spot in particular that kind of blew up because lots of influencers, Instagrammers have been going by nearby. So it used to be that I could just walk there and buy it off the street. But now, because it's so popular, because of these people that have showed it online, you actually have to call in advance to order it. And then
oh my God.
they'll pack it for you. Yeah. So they're ruining my life by making it harder to get food.
I know.
Influencers. I say that with a couple influencers here right now. All right, good pick. So we're getting kind of into the nostalgia, like, with specific memory level here. This is great. This is great. Okay, so after Kaitlin is Kat.
Do we only have to do savory?
No. Hey, we're talking to the maven of subtle Asian bacon.
Excellent point, Kat. We've been very heavily savory leaning.
Yeah.
So okay, let's go with Asian desserts.
Let's do it.
Chinese desserts, and one of my favorite one is not the healthiest because it's deep fried, but the daxi nai, the fried milk.
Oh.
That you can get at any Asian restaurants, Chinese restaurants.
Yeah.
I made them at home, so it's with like condensed milk, and cornstarch. And then you just put it into the refrigerator. It solidifies. Then you cut it. Then you bread it. You can bread it a few different ways. It could be panko breading or like, and I think it's another cornstarch breading. But the beauty about it is that when you like fry it, or you can air fry or pan fry, whatever, it comes out melty and it's not too sweet. It's just so delicious and creamy, right? It's something that you wouldn't think would come out of China. It's fried milk. So I'm not really sure the origins of it. I think it's Cantonese in origin. We'll have to ask Belle. But not too hard to make, but for some reason they just make it better in Chinese restaurants than at home.
It might be Taiwan. I think it might be Taiwanese.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure.
Daxi nai.
But you see that in Hong Kong quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's
All
delicious.
Right.
And dim sum restaurants, Chinese restaurants.
Yeah, it's kind of unexpected.
In a Taiwanese restaurant. I don't think.
I think it is Cantonese, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Asian Chinese desserts would be.
Yeah.
It should have been. Dang it! I should have been S tier. We
can move it up if you want. We can move it up.
No, I'm fine. I'm good with
it's on the list. As long as it's on the list, that means we like it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah. I think in Taiwan because I had it in Taiwan, but yeah, if it could be Southern as well. Yeah. All right. That brings us to where are we? We are with Lingjie.
So this is just because I grew up with this as a kid. So they probably wouldn't do this nowadays because they would probably call Child Protective Services. But I was 7-8 years old and I used to have to cook for myself. Actually, it's not even cook for myself. Cook for myself, but have enough food for my parents to come back when they would come back. So you can imagine, like as a 7-8-year-old kid, you don't really have many things you can make. But steamed egg was one of the things that we always made as a kid because I can only chop so many things when I'm that young. So the recipe in particular that I learned from my parents was like 1-4-7 method. So it's 1 can of chicken broth, 4 eggs, and 7 minutes. 1-4-7. That's how I remembered it as a kid. So 1 14-ounce can of chicken broth, 4 eggs, all beat together into like a relatively wide metal pan and then steam for 7 minutes. And then you take it out, you put a little bit of soy sauce, some oil, some scallions if you want it that way. But that's one of the things I always made as a kid when I had to cook dinner for myself before my parents came home. And back then I did have white rice.
As you should.
But yeah, you could do some glass noodles in there. You could do some pork in there. There's so many variations on that. It's so yummy and fluffy.
It's great. That was actually one that I was thinking of, so I'm glad you mentioned it.
Okay,
it's a good one.
No, that's perfect.
Did you ever put in dried shrimp in that?
Now I have, but as a kid, nothing that complex. I was remember 1, 4, and 7. That's all I had to do. Couldn't mess up. 1, 4, 7.
That's a very good rule of thumb.
That is a good rule.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, ratios are always perfect. Obviously, if you have tiny, medium-sized eggs compared to jumbo eggs, it probably varies a little bit. But just large eggs, and 7 minutes was always perfect. I never messed it up. It was always perfectly cooked through, but not overly cooked as well.
Right.
All right. Nice. So we are through the C tier. What's left is the D tier. Now, again, we talked about this when we did the Korean food. These are not bad foods. They're D tier. These are delicious foods, but they may be a little more common or a little less fancy maybe or whatever. But we have a lot left that we can choose from. So I don't know how to determine the order here, but let's go. Should we go youngest to oldest? But we'll do ladies first. How about we go Kaitlin, Kat, Lingjie, and then me on this one? How about that?
Okay.
There's a lot left.
I know there's a whole wide world left. I'm tempted to go with the sweets shouldn't be ignored.
Okay.
But I am a savory girl. So perhaps I'll put them aside. I think that my D tier pick to round out my top 5 is probably a whole poached chicken. Okay. I'm really showing my Cantonese roots here. I just think it's just so good. I mean, it's perfectly cooked. Again, has the element of like the unexpected to it, right? Somebody's like, oh, well, it's just a boiled chicken. I mean, it's not technically boiled. It should be simmered at a low heat. But, like it doesn't immediately sound appetizing, but everything about it is in like the technique. So like simmering at a low heat with ginger and scallion and cooking it whole. So it's like not dry at all. And like no part of it is overcooked. And then serving it with like the ginger scallion oil, maybe a little soy sauce, and that white rice when it hits that rice. Oh, that's all I'm saying. I mean, it's and I left out the ice bath that it goes into, and then it gives the chicken skin that sort of snappy texture to it. That gives it a little gelatinous texture to it.
Yeah,
and and I think that another signature part of it is the fact that it's a Chinese chicken, like a Buddhist style chicken, which is usually, not only is it sold and cooked and served whole, but it's also actually like a heritage breed of chicken. And like we met Anita Lee, who is actually like a 2nd or 3rd generation like chicken farmer. And she has a company called Bobo Poultry that still processes, raises, processes, and sells whole Buddhist style chickens. And she takes great pride in the types of breeds that she sells because they're actually like heritage breeds. They're not like these kind of mass market chickens. Oh, wow. And I think that's something that's definitely endured in the Chinese community. I mean, obviously in China and then definitely here, which I think is very special and honestly makes the dish too. It's not just any chicken.
Yeah.
So I think that's my D pick.
No,
though not at all D in spirit, but it's rounding out the list.
It's your last pick.
I'm surprised that that's D level.
I know. Well, it was between the chicken and the fish and that S level, and I was like, I don't know, maybe it's a little too jumping the gun to put in the S level.
Kind of similar though, in a way that it's not. It's about the ingredient, the freshness of the ingredient, and the technique. It's not 25 ingredients. It's not 25 steps. But it's just execution and quality. Totally. Yeah. All right, going to Kat Lieu with your D pick.
Can we go back to sweets or we covered that already?
You do whatever you want, Kat.
I can do whatever I want?
Yeah.
Okay, let me think about it.
No, sweets is fine.
Go to Lingjie first. Let me think.
All right, Lingjie.
Okay, this is quintessential Asian American, maybe New York Chinese American, but as a kid, everyone of my generation grew up going to a Chinese takeout spot as a kid, and you didn't get anything really Chinese. But I think this somehow belongs on this list somewhere because we used to always get from a Chinese takeout place fried chicken wings or pork fried rice.
Yeah,
like just those two things.
Those two.
And I have a lot of friends that are FJ and their families own Chinese takeout spots, and fried chicken wings is like one or two most popular things across. Maybe it's just a New York Chinese takeout thing, but that was always something that we got. That was maybe one or two from a Chinese takeout place. So good, just think about it. It's a very simple fried chicken, right? So probably just salt and pepper batter. It's not anything too crispy. It's not like double fried or anything. And then you have fried rice with it. Yeah. We always used to do it because me and my friends didn't have a lot of money, so we used to get one order and there would be 3 or 4 chicken wings, and then you could evenly split up the wings without fighting over who got got more or less. And then the rice you could split up as well. So just from a very New York Asian American perspective, I feel like that belongs at least on this tier. What are we, C or D tier right now?
We're D now,
yeah.
D
tier. Yeah. That's a good one. I agree. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I got a picky eater. She doesn't eat a lot of things, but she loves those salt and pepper chicken wings. Yeah.
Oh, Lingjie, that all I gotta say is boom.
Yeah. Mic drop.
I gotta say, I gotta correct you on a couple of things though on this.
Okay.
They're not just salt and pepper. There's actually some ingredients on here, and you can check it out. That's one of our most popular recipes: fried chicken wings, Chinese takeout fried chicken wings, and they're easy to make, and they are double fried.
Oh, they are. Are they double fried because to speed up the cooking process when someone orders it? So like they're fried 90%, and then they're just fried again the extra 10%. That's when they serve it. Or is it meant to be double fried?
A couple of things. From a consumer point of view, right? They're crispier. So you got to fry them, and then you got to let them rest for 5-6 minutes. Let all that juice settle in and settle back into the chicken. And then you second fry them to get them crispy on the outside.
Yeah.
Right. From a Chinese restaurant owner perspective, you fry a whole wok full of them for the first fry. You put them on a platter.
Right.
And then
heat lamp them,
fry them again for the second order, and then you get the best of both worlds. It's kind of like 2 for 1. You get it crispy, and then it's also convenient.
Easier, yeah. I love it. Oh man, are you guys hungry? I'm getting super hungry.
I'm starving. Literally, I'm starving. I'm just my god.
All right, Kat, you ready? Or you want me to jump in?
Yes, I'm ready now. Okay. So a recipe from my first book,
Modern Asian Baking at Home.
So street food, 청야오뱅.
Yes.
So it has to be 청야오뱅, which I learned to make from scratch from watching Martin Yang in the 90s. The 1900s for the younger listeners. If you have any younger
last millennia. The last millennia.
So it's just flour, it's just water, a little bit of MSG if you want, some chicken powder and scallions and oil or lard, like they make it more authentically in China, right? So definitely 청야오뱅. It was something that I made for my little sister growing up. I was like maybe 10 or 11. I don't remember when. I don't want to date myself, but I'm much older than people might think. It was so easy to make, and it was so delicious, and I was so proud of myself and proud of seeing Martin Yang on TV. That 청야오뱅 has such a special place in my heart. I'm sorry that it's D tier, but you know what? It's a common, cheap eat, and it hits the spot. So 청야오뱅 for my
love it. Yeah. Another one of those generational things too. You can make with your grandma. You can make it with your kids. That's right. So good. Bill, what do you think? You got to let the dough rest. When you mix it up, to get flaky, you got to let it rest, right?
You absolutely have to let it rest, and I'm glad people out there should follow recipes for this, right? Because I know it's simple, Kat. You flour and water, but there's technique to it. Actually, I remember my uncle who worked in one of the restaurants goes, I had a chef friend of mine, and he went to Taiwan, and he learned. It took him 2 years to learn how to make a good scallion pancake. And I was like, get out of here, I was thinking, no. But if you try to make a scallion pancake, there are some subtle techniques technique things that you have to walk away with a good one, because you might be disappointed the first time you make it, So yeah, definitely. It's you got to put enough oil in it. You got to let it rest, like you said, Curtis. And sometimes you got to put a little bit of hot water and make it a little bit softer. It depends. There's different variations and different methods.
Yeah,
there's like lines upon lines in China for this one guy's scallion pancake restaurant or store, and he does it. His way is that he would pan fry it and then he would put it into a really hot oven afterwards.
Oh,
yeah, and it made it like extra hot and crispy.
I think
that's a good method.
Thing. It's a Shanghainese thing, because when I first met Judy, and her father used to say that you fry this and then you put it next to the stove into the oven. And we actually have a video on our blog about the Shanghainese pancake, and this guy, we have him on video, and he makes them he makes them every day. Such a master at it. And yes, they fry it in oil, and then they put it. Actually, it's like an oven, but it's kind of outside underneath the flame, and it bakes for a while. And the lines, like Kat said.
Oh man! All right. So yeah, go check out Kat's book. You get a recipe for Chongyou Bing, or you can go to the blog. I'm sure you guys have recipes over there as well. But yeah, make them at home. Try different recipes. Try your technique. Different for every climate, I'm sure. Depending on the humidity, depending on the heat outside. But yeah, you got to make them yourself, or go wait in line in China. It's up to you. All right, I got a pick here. It's got to be on the list. It is one of the classic takeout or dim sum dishes that you would get. It's not even a dish. It comes in a little tray, probably. We are talking about, in Chinese, you say spring rolls. In English, you say egg rolls. But I'm going to go with the egg roll. I think it is one of the more perfect bites of food out there. You get the crispy on the outside, and don't get the one that's battered. That's a little too, even for me, it's a little too Americanized. So you got to get the.
Are people battering their egg rolls?
Like at Panda, at those places they have them kind of battered.
Do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know what I'm going to be looking up after this.
Okay. But yeah, you got to get the wrapper. You got to fry it. And for those Bay Area people out there, we have a few listeners out here. San Jose, go to King Egg Roll. That's the place to go, and you just get them. They're ready to go when you get them, and so good. And they can be even a little. I don't want to say gravy, but they're not totally dry on the inside. If you get a good one, they're a little juicy. They have vegetables. They have some meat. You can get them vegetarian if you like, but I like the ones with a little bit of meat in them. Not too fat, not too skinny. You got to find that ratio of, thickness on your egg roll, but it's one of the more popular dishes in the world, and you got to have them on this list, right?
There you go. So Curtis, are you talking about spring rolls, or are you talking about egg rolls?
I'm a little confused. I did a little research. So I'm talking about spring rolls, I think.
Yeah, because that was going to be my one correction for you.
The thin skin.
The crispy. Yeah, thin, crispy.
But see, then the Vietnamese restaurants have been saying spring roll to mean the soft one with the rice paper. And I'm not talking about that.
Oh, that's summer roll, though.
Yeah, that's a summer roll?
That's
a summer roll.
Yeah.
Well, they have fried ones. It's called cha jiu. And usually you get like little hunks of them, and that's fried in rice paper, like you said, Curtis.
Okay.
Spring rolls that you're talking about have a little bit of gravy in them, and they have the very thin, and it's not rice. It's also a wheat roll that's very crispy. That's what you get at dim sum. Yeah. And then the egg roll is the outright, egg-based.
The bubbly skin.
Yeah,
like
bubbly skin, and the cabbage and the celery and the pork inside, and sometimes shrimp that you get at your Chinese takeout restaurant.
Okay.
That could be a regional thing. So do you guys see like Chinese at like a Chinese American takeout spot? Like, do you mostly get let's say you order an egg roll, okay? Like, do you get the thin, crispy spring roll type thing that you're talking about, or do you get like what the
thicker one,
like the thicker, bubbly?
I think it's the thicker one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm talking about the spring roll. Then I'm talking about the spring roll.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Because
I'm not totally opposed to an egg roll. Yeah.
Well, we just did a big re-up on our egg roll post because there's a lot of the egg roll isn't what it used to be.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's natural that you've picked spring roll because egg rolls are just kind of the average egg roll that you get out is just not as good.
It's a little doughier, yeah.
It's doughy. There's not as much chasiu pork bits in it,
mm-hmm.
and like shrimp is like over. It used to be like the pork and shrimp egg roll. Now that's like so rare. If you do get shrimp, it's like tiny, like minuscule. So we like. Yes. We like making them at home because we do like big chunks of shrimp, big chunks of chasiu.
Yeah.
And it's just so good.
So good.
But we love both spring roll and egg roll.
So Curtis, on the spring roll, there's two types. There's kind of like the Cantonese spring roll where, you've got some pork, you've got some mushrooms, you've got more like sometimes bamboo shoots and what have you. And then there's the Shanghainese type that basically has like Napa cabbage and pork and it's a little bit more like a cornstarchy, saucy thing. Which ones did you prefer?
Well, I'm probably more southern in my liking and taste, but I'm not opposed to a Shanghai lumpia for sure. Those are good.
Very good.
But,
that's another one it's kind of like rice. There's all different kind of variations.
There's all different variations to it.
Also the fact that you live on the West Coast, you get more of the Filipino flavor. Lumpia is like the Filipino term for the spring roll, and they have their own style. And and then there's the Vietnamese version. So it is confusing. it can get muddled quickly, but regardless, it's all fried. It's all yummy.
It's all yummy. All right, we gotta wrap this up, but let's all throw one more thing on. Is there one thing on your list that would be a travesty not to include?
A travesty,
and you can put it at any tier. You can put it at any tier. Let's go backwards this time. Let's go Lingjie this time.
All protein, no carbs, Chinese barbecue skewers. Bam.
Yeah. Actually, I'm shocked, Lingjie, that you didn't go hot pot.
I thought of that as more of like a all-encompassing style as opposed to like a dish.
Okay. But so you're going meat skewers for your throw-in pick here. All right,
Wait, Kat, like a meat skewer, like a chwar?
Yeah.
Or okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
All right, Kat, you got one more thing to throw on the list?
I'm like so hungry I could throw anything on the list right now. Let me see. Gai dan zai.
Okay. Yeah.
Bubble waffles.
Yeah, those are good. Agates.
Bubble waffles.
Yeah.
Hong Kong bubble waffles.
Bill, you want to throw something on the list that we missed?
Maybe I'm a classic Chinese takeout guy, and I often go out to lunch, and I'm like, one of those 45,000 places that are out there, and I'll order something. Nobody said sesame chicken.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like I'm like kind of like you go to a popular restaurant.
Yeah,
it has a mix of Chinese menu and American menus.
Yeah.
And the place is like filled. All the tables have sesame chicken.
Yeah. No, I had a trivia question. Most popular Chinese takeout food is, either General Tso's or orange chicken or sesame chicken, some version of that fried with the sauce on it. So good. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you almost can't go to a Chinese takeout without getting it. It's almost like obligatory. You have to kind of get it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, and I'm going to throw in. Oh, it was Kaitlin. You have one more pick you want to throw on here?
I'm going to say milk bread. Milk bread based like bows and like sweets and stuff like that. That was one where I was like, I kind of want to put it on, but when push comes to shove, the chicken and the pork always wins for me.
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, that's good.
That's definitely an important category. The Chinese bakery.
Yeah. And I was going to throw on the suyuk or the roast pig. You know, guys, single guys out there, don't mess up on this. If you marry a Chinese girl, you got to bring over a roast pig to her house as kind of like a dowry, right? It's kind of like the way.
I actually did that. I had to bring in like a whole suckling pig. Yes.
You
I
have
remember
to.
this part.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, that's great.
There's places that specialize, and they'll have the little wooden tray you bring it in there, and they have the little low paw bang and stuff you bring it in there. So. But you can also just get it by the pound too. Just go to your, the same place you get your cha siu and your suyuk. You can get your suyuk at. Hard to make, but Bill, I'm sure you got a recipe. You got to poke the skin. What do you got to do?
We do. That's Sarah's recipe that she was responsible for executing.
Well, what she does is her newest trick. So there's been a couple iterations over the past decade. Is that she flash poaches the skin. And then it makes it easier to puncture the skin because if you're at home and you're using a fork, it can get kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
And you might accidentally stab yourself. But then you puncture the skin and then, the seasoning and crisping ensues.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got an air fryer recipe for that? Can you air fry your suyuk?
You can. We've seen other people do it. We don't have an air fryer specific recipe, but they're definitely out there.
Okay. I do.
Kat
I need
does.
one.
There you go.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Because you don't need 5 pounds of it, right, Kat? You just need like a strip for your family. It's probably good enough.
No, you don't need 5 pounds of cereal in an air fryer. The air fryer is kind of small too. You can't put all 5 pounds in there.
Yum. All right. If audience out there, if you're not hungry at this point, you're not alive. Either you just ate or you're not alive. But we come up with a great list. I'm counting on Kaitlin to send me the list later because I can't remember everything. But I think we came up with a pretty good list. We probably left, I'm sure. I mean, this is a 4,000-year-old cuisine. We left off a few things, I'm sure. But we did what we could. We named the ones that we like the best. So everyone out there, send me your recommendations. If we left anything off, go ahead and send me an angry email and let me know what we left off. No, actually, send it to worstasianpod@gmail.com.
Whoa. Don't direct all the hate at me. But if you think I should eat rice, you can tell me that in the DMs.
Send Lingjie your carb loving pictures over at Worst Asian Pod. Thank you to my guest, the host of the Worst Asian Podcast. Thanks for coming on, Lingjie.
Thanks for having me on, Curtis.
Always a pleasure. And Kat Lieu with her new book, Modern Asian Kitchen, coming out in April. Go buy Modern Asian Bacon at home as well. And thank you for coming on, Kat. As usual, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Curtis.
And we'll talk your new book soon, maybe in spring. Okay, we'll have you on. Don't worry, we'll talk more about Kat's new book coming soon. And to one half of the folks over at Walks of Life, we have Bill and Kaitlin Long. Thank you both for coming on. Bill, thanks for your knowledge, man.
Sure thing. Lots of fun, Curtis.
Yeah, and Kaitlin, always a pleasure to talk to you. You always have good takes on everything.
Yeah, this has been great.
All right. So everyone out there, you can follow our guests out there. You know where to find them at Central Asian Baking on Facebook and Instagram, or you can follow Kaitlin and Bill over at The Walks of Life or online at thewalksoflife.com. And shout out to Judy and Sarah. You got a couple pics in there too, Judy and Sarah, even though you weren't here in person. We got some long family pics in there. So that just about does it. I hope we made you hungry, and I hope that you go out and get some Chinese food or make it at home by yourself. Send us an email at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com, or you know how to message us over on Instagram at infatuasianpodcast. And, we'll put some of these pics up on our Instagram so you can see some pictures or just a list of what we have. So as usual, thank you all for listening. And on behalf of Kaitlin, Kat, Lingjie, and myself, and Sifu Bill, thank you for coming along. We hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. Until we talk to you again, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.